there, writers and muse daters. I am super excited to be here today with Aaron Betts. He is one of our writers over in the Writing Gym, and we've got an amazing celebration with him today. Thank you so much, Aaron, for your time and for being here with the writers here in Write to Publish and Sell Your Novel.
Thank you for letting me be a part of the community. This is a great opportunity.
So let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about what it is that you're writing and your novel.
Okay, it's a YA. I call it a portal fantasy. So it starts in our world and ends up in a magical fantasy world. The story is about a son of an author who discovers that our muse really exist. They're called jinn, and they come from this place called Netherworld. And his father can't finish his novel, and it's because his father's jinn has been taken hostage, been kidnapped, and Danny and his friends find a way to this world, and they have to go rescue his father's muse.
Oh, and I adore this concept and also your execution of it. It's been a real pleasure. And so you and I met at a writers conference recently,
yes.
Which was online because hashtag COVID, right?
Right, yep.
And share with the people who are listening who don't know your story, what was going on for you in that first conversation that you and I had? What were some of the writing problems that you were facing?
I've been working on this novel since 2014. It was I actually won NaNoWriMo with it, and just could never find a way through it. I would try various things to sit down and actually write it, and I would make a little bit of progress and then just feel frustrated. I found some plotting techniques earlier this year that really helped me, but the biggest challenge I think I was finding is the kind of professional feedback that really lets you know that your inner critic isn't right, that you're headed in the right direction, and you got to just keep plowing through. I definitely think I would have gotten there eventually. I was on the right path, but some really amazing things happened to me since I joined that are really kind of amazing, I guess. I don't know how else to say it.
And I definitely want to dig in and celebrate those.
Yeah.
So as I recall, Aaron, you can give us the exact number. You were like 80% of the way through your novel when we met.
Yeah, about 75-ish. I guess I was just starting Act 3.
Okay, just starting Act 3. And it was sluggish. Is that a fair word?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so there was some frustration you mentioned, but what felt like it was the big roadblock?
Yeah, I think it was a couple of things. One, it was really some kind of personal hangups I think I had that I needed to work through, as well as, like I said, just kind of some of the more professional guidance.
Mm-hmm.
I am a member of other critique groups, and I know you always say be careful with those, which I have had some horror stories with myself, which really hurt my creativity for a long time. But even with some of the other groups that I had joined, I just kind of felt like it was more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really feel like it was designed to really push me to where I needed to be, as far as the writing process and the mindset process that it was going to take to truly finish the novel.
Got it. And I have my own version of more of the same, and I'm sure writers out there do too. What did more of the same look like for you?
Well, so I had joined a group, and they're a great group. I love them. I'm part of their community over the summer, and it was a coaching group. And they had a professional, I guess, editor who was leading kind of our small group. Um, and the sessions were just kind of like, oh yeah, that was great. That was amazing. And these are some things I liked about it. Which, look, those are helpful, and they're very heartfelt. Um, but I felt, look, if I'm looking for advice from somebody who's a professional, I want the real advice. I'm not doing this for a hobby. I mean, I guess I am, but that's not my end goal, right? I couldn't stop writing even if you told me I would never publish, but that's not my end goal. And so getting the same feedback from somebody who supposedly is a professional as I got from my monthly writers group, it you know
Right.
um, it just wasn't worth the cost that I was paying for that.
Absolutely. That makes a whole lot of sense. So fast forward, you and I got on a call after the writers conference, and one of the questions that people ask me a whole lot is what's going to happen if we get on a call? What's that going to look like? What was your experience? What happened on that call that you and I had?
So the first one that we had,
Yeah, well, let's put them all in the same
put them
pot.
all in it. So
Yeah, calls.
yeah, so a few things actually really kind of struck me, right? Is I really got the sense that if I'm going to do this, I better be ready to do it. Like mindset, I think, is a huge thing, because you pretty much just laid it out that, we're going to get you to finish your novel in, and I think you said 4 weeks, and I think I laughed. I had a goal to finish by the end of the year, which I felt was attainable. And you said 4 weeks, and the little boy in me said, I wanted to believe. It's kind of like Santa Claus, right? It's like, okay, I want to believe I can do it. But at the same time, it was a very yeah, and you talk about in your presentations and in the virtual room that we met in at the conference that this is an investment. And so I knew right away that this is something that I needed to take seriously,
Mhm.
which I think really helped put me in the right mindset.
That's great. That's great. And just to clarify and help people to feel a little bit better, they get a little intimidated that I might be this big bad ogre. So what? Or it's sometimes it's scary to talk about your writing or to like take that step. So what was the emotional experience, if I can
No,
call it that?
honestly, to put it into a few as word as I can, I felt completely safe.
Mm.
I never got a sense that, I was turning over my darlings, if you will, to somebody that was going to either destroy it or hurt my process in the meantime. Absolutely not at all. And one thing, just if I could touch on or circle back to that, we had you wanted a conversation with my wife and I, and not just myself. And I that actually really meant a lot to me. Not that I didn't have that support, but that was important for your process, that support was there. um, and so, yeah, honestly, Annalisa, it was 100% caring.
Mm.
So I had never heard that before. I think I saw some of the other Facebook things, and so I kind of just laughed when I did, because I don't know where people get that impression.
Well, thank you. That made me a little bit teary-eyed because it really means a lot to me to not just think about a book, not just think about a writer, but to think about you as a person. And I'm really passionate about that. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so let's get to the meat of the celebration. So I invited you to join the writing gym in the VIP program. And normally people are finishing a novel in 8 weeks, but you were 75% of the way done. And so there are no cookie cutter solutions here in the writing gym. And so
Right.
I created a special program for you to do it in 4 weeks. You said that you laughed. What did it feel like when you entered the writing gym? I bet there were a bunch of different emotions happening for you.
Yeah, there were. I had some technology challenges when I first joined, some power outages, and it's funny how sometimes things align for you and sometimes they don't. And even trying to connect with the writing gym at the conference was a challenge. Getting into the writing gym was a challenge. And so part of me kept just saying, you know what, things that are worthwhile aren't easy.
Mm.
Um, uh, and so me personally, and this is completely just my own personal, I don't like Facebook. And so the fact that all of the writing gym is on Facebook, that was a little bit of a hard pill to swallow, but I was like, I'm committed. I will figure it out. I'll come back onto Facebook. My wife always complains that I'm not there. So just getting used to how the community works, and am I posting things correctly? And there's that trepidation, I guess, that you want to put your best foot forward. And as the process, the writing process part of it, I really wanted to believe, because this has been a lifelong goal. I've written since junior high. In high school, and we were even talking about this in one of the posts in the writing gym, that in high school, had a creative writing teacher who had us write, journal entries, free write or whatever. And I started a story, and I would write every week a part of that story. And she wanted me to enter a novel contest at the end of the year, which I didn't do, probably because of the Inner Critic and other things in life. But once I started to see kind of interact, I should say, with the people in the writing gym, it was just right away all encompassing and embracing, and the people are great.
That's wonderful. And so you had your very first session, and the internet or the electricity or anything else,
Yes.
there were no tech problems. And you met with our personal trainer,
Yeah.
Gretchen. And my understanding is that, I mean, this was kind of a mind-blowing session that you had with her. It was sort of like, I'm putting words into your mouth, so you can correct me, but it sounded like it was like that one experience and what you got out of it was like worth the price of admission alone.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit. Let's celebrate this moment for you.
Okay. So one of the goals that I had set over the summer was to write 500 words a night, and then 1,500 words Saturday and Sunday mornings. And the weeknights, I work in tech. It's very high stress. I would get home and just not be able to focus. And one of the things that Gretchen and I kind of dug into was some personal hangups that I had, that she helped me work through, that really unlocked something. And that week, I wrote 10,500 words. And I've had some days where I've put in, a couple thousand words on the page, and I was pretty ecstatic about it. But that was few and far between. And this was every night. I was excited to sit down, and there was no guilt, no concern, no anything that I had previously. It was just a flow of creativity.
That is amazing. Congratulations on that
Thank you.
amazing.
Yes, no, it was incredible.
Wow. And, it raises an interesting question in my mind, because I think that when people hear me talk about, it's not just about a book, it's not just about a writer, it's about you as a person, and I would guess, I mean, even you, when you met me, Erin, if you came into our booth at the conference and I was like, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to work on some of those personal blocks that you have. We're going to talk about your feelings. You would have been like, I don't know if that's exactly for me. And yet, you've had this amazing experience. So how do you kind of reconcile like those two points of view?
I think that's part of the craft that we tend to forget about. I think it's just all, at least for me, it was all focused on just the words on the page. Um, is my grammar correct? Is my prose good enough? And those type of things, and not necessarily the challenges that might be preventing that. And I had never really considered that as part of the reason that I was struggling. And so, you know, uh, to be honest, I went home, after the night with Gretchen, or the session with Gretchen, and I talked with my son, and just, there was just some feelings of, if I don't spend time, I'm not doing the right stuff. And one thing she said to me that just really struck home was, how do you think he would feel if you finished the novel?
Mm.
And it changed everything for me. It really did. It was it was the kind of one of the single biggest challenges I think that was there, and I didn't realize it was really there. And so it's, the fact that that is a focus is different than any program or group that I've come across. And seeing the changes or the effect that it's had on me, I would say it's one of the most important.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Even though when you look at it from the outside, you might
Yeah.
think, ah,
Yeah, it's like, well,
I
wait a
don't know
minute.
what that.
Yeah, what does that have to do with writing,
Right?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Okay. So, but we don't just work on your mindset and,
Sure.
as I say, getting into right relationship with your inner critic. There's some craft modules,
Yes.
there are salons, there are sprints, there are things that we do that are very specifically writing related. You had a one-on-one with me. We went through the first 20 pages of your novel. Talk a little bit about some of your celebrations there. What were some of your takeaways from the actual craft activities that we've done together?
Um, a lot of it was affirmation for me, just because I've spent a lot of time with a lot of different groups looking at things. And so to see that kind of some of the strategies that I've used or have come across aligned exactly with what the writing gym had. There were a couple of nuggets that you threw out that I hadn't really considered or come across before, which just helped that much more. Um, I definitely think that if I had been coming into this starting a novel, that the things that the takeaways from the craft lessons are exactly what are needed, 100%. And now, actually, this last week, I've been working on the pacing and plotting part of it, and there's definitely been some things there that have helped.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And so you came in thinking that you wanted some professional feedback. Maybe you hadn't
Yep.
gotten that professional feedback from other environments you'd been in, and also had some relationship issues with the inner critic.
Yes.
Now we're on the other side, getting to the end of your 4 weeks. Let's celebrate you. What progress have you made in the feedback and the inner critic arenas?
So some of the things that you said, just on my last Q&A, in regards to the 20 pages, really gave me a belief that maybe hasn't been there before, that this dream that we all have, that if we're here, I think that we all have, is feasible. It's not a pipe dream. It's a potential doable goal that you could set, and that's very strong. That's very powerful. Um, I've the inner critic has, and I know I'm not alone, but the inner critic has always been very difficult to quiet. Um, even this weekend, and I'll share, I guess, in a minute, maybe kind of where I am, but even this weekend, I had a very big kind of bout almost with it, and then I sat back and just thought, well, hold on. Yeah, not needed. Thank you for your advice, but we'll revisit that later.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So let's get to the cherry on top, the biggest moment of all. So you said when we had that initial call and I said 4 weeks, you laughed. If it had been by the end of the year, it would have been about 8 weeks to finish.
Right.
In reality, it took you
2 weeks. I finished this weekend.
Oh my gosh. Big virtual hugs. This is
Yes.
huge. This is huge. How does it feel?
You're going to get me emotional. I can't put into words, honestly. Sorry.
No.
Something that I've wanted to do for my adult life, that I've tried countless times to do, to legitimately sit at the typewriter and type the end and sit back and see a complete novel, and all of its imperfections and edits that it needs to have. It's done. And I can't describe it. It's one of the best feelings that I've had, honestly.
Wow. Thank you for sharing your experience with us and for being with us for this experience. This is a special, special moment in your life.
It is. And I know it's just one step on the journey, but it was a big one. So.
And I would imagine, Aaron, that there's a feeling of weight, right? If this was a lifelong goal and you've now achieved it.
Yeah, it's funny, as like almost as soon as I finished, my mind immediately wanted to go and start revising. And I kind of did a little bit of it. But what was interesting though is I immediately wanted to revisit one of the other stories that I had started about the same time as this one, and I found that I just couldn't jump from universe to universe, if you will, effectively. And so I put that on the back burner, and I'm so excited now that I have the tools, I have processes, I have a way to now go and write that story, and I'm so excited to do that. That it's not a belief anymore, it's a knowledge. I can write a book. I wrote a book.
This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And so if you could teleport back to the writing conference, to that guy who was having a hard time like getting into our booth, and like I think you and I started a chat several times and it fell out, what would you say to that guy?
I would say just do it. Just, it's worth it. Just don't even think twice.
That's amazing. And moving forward, you're looking at moving into the publishing mastermind and revising that novel. What thoughts do you have looking at the next step?
I'm excited to see what it becomes. I know that revision's a tough thing. It's there's often things that you think the book should be that it shouldn't be, or vice versa. But I honestly feel like it's in safe hands, if that's a way to put it. I'm ready. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited to get this thing started. This is absolutely amazing. You have made amazing, amazing progress. And even thinking about, the person that I met a couple of weeks ago versus the person that you are today, and the writer too, but the person that you are, just the difference in your face and how you talk about your writing. I mean, I can almost feel that there's an opening. It's not even something lifted. It's an opening. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that, the inner critic just wants you to be safe, you know, and doing something like this, especially artistic art. There's so much art that happens in our house, music and art and, you know, everything else, that putting things out there that is artistic in nature is dangerous, the world says. You know, it there's always so much criticism, and so I think the inner critic always wants to, you know, just say, you know, you're probably not writing good enough to publish, so just, you know, there's other things you can do that are funner than that. Right? I don't think that's a word, but it having completed that goal, it changes the way I look at it, right? I don't say, you know, if I'm talking to a friend of mine, I'm writing a book. It's, yeah, I wrote a book. And so it's a different almost mindset that happens, at least that has happened for me. And yeah, I think the confidence is completely different because of that.
That's great. And you know, you were talking earlier about now having the processes to move forward in your next story. And one of the things that you've probably heard me say, that I say frequently, is that we help you to find your best writer and be that writer. And now that you have been through that experience, what does that phrase mean to you?
It really, for me, it's find what works and stick with it. There's so many different paths. There's so many different techniques. There's so many different things, that once you find something that works for you, stop looking. I mean, assuming that you're following, you know, something that's proven. For me, it was, like I said, to see when you listed out the major points, right? The inciting, the plot point, second plot point. That's how I had structured everything. And so I knew that, okay, I'm on the right path. I knew that at least technically I was sound. So it's then you just got to believe that the path that you're following is the right one, right? And keep through the, I call it the slog, right? You just keep going.
How did it feel to be able to get some feedback on that? You know, you mentioned the Q&A earlier, and we've talked a little bit about your process in the Q&A. How did it feel to have a professional opinion coming into that conversation around, you know, is this a rabbit hole or a dead end? Am I going the right way with this? What was that experience?
Um, so the focus that you take, if I can, it's, you know, it's not about, hey, this scene was amazing or this character is well developed. It's your focus on the overall process. It's not so much about the craft process, because that is revisable, right? It's the overall writer or author process. And that's what really, I think, struck to me is it was your focus wasn't on how did my scene go, how was the, you know, the prose in the chapter. It was, are you on the right path to achieve the author goal that you want?
Hmm. That's really insightful. And you know, I just want to reiterate, Erin, you know, you wrote some words, and that part's really cool. But you met your lifelong goal of finishing a book, and you can call
Yes.
yourself an author. It's done. And this is just so huge. I am
Yeah.
so happy. So, so happy for you.
Yeah, no, I'm ecstatic. I'm super excited.
I love it. So, you know, you met a lot of other writers at the Writers Conference. There were a bunch of people who came in and out of our booth and chatted with us. If anybody out there is listening or watching and they're thinking, I wonder if this writing gym thing could work for me, what would you say to them?
I would say absolutely. I would say for me, the biggest the biggest takeaway was I was ready. If it's a commitment, meaning it's not a group that you join and you work at it, right? It's a you're going to run a marathon, and we're going to, and you better be ready to run the marathon.
Mhm.
And so if you're ready to take that seriously and make that decision, I would say absolutely 100%. Don't even think twice. Just jump in.
I love that. And I love the marathon analogy, right? There's a reason we call it the writing gym. You don't go to the gym and kind of like watch other people work out, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
you're there
exactly.
to show up and sweat, right?
Right. That's right. That's right.
I love it. Well, thank you for spending some time with us today, Erin, and sharing your amazing celebrations. You've done such amazing things, and we're so glad to have you in the Writing Gym community.
Thank you. I'm super excited to see where we go next.
I am too. All right, take care. And until next time, happy writing.